Black Wolf Mountain. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Awesome.
How you
Great,
doing?
man.
Hell yeah.
Great. John, give me a little bit of history about yourself.
Well, I'm a Florida boy, born and raised. I'm a Southern boy. I moved to Arizona about 3 years ago, and and here I am. Well, I'd come out of my last band that I won't mention their name because I don't get the royalties from, and I'd taken a break from music for a while. I didn't know how long it would last, and I moved to Arizona with my wife and mostly to take care of my grandparents. And because I'm a musician, it's because it's what I do. It just kind of started happening again, where I had the urge to want to do another band. I started writing songs, and I went out one night to the blues bar, and I saw this guy who was running sound, who looked like a little rock star, and I wanted to know him and what he played and what he does. And he happened to be a drummer, which for me is always the starting point for a new band, because I'm a guitar player, songwriter. So once I have a drummer, I can start something, and it just happened to work. So here we are.
Since you mentioned your drummer, would you like to introduce your band?
I sure would. Well, my drummer is Mr. Dylan Kidner, who's an Arizona resident, who's also got Australian blood in him.
Aussie. I got Vegemite here, don't worry.
Yep. Guitar player, Jack Duchesne.
Peace.
And Mr. Alex over there, my bass player.
Can't pronounce my last name still, but
I call him the Cabbage King.
the Chupacabra, if you will.
Chupacabra. Well, I've been playing attempting to play, and I still attempt to play. That has never changed. I started attempting to play when I was 15. I started playing in bars when I was 17. I was playing guitar and singing in a band in bars at 17. But I'm primarily a guitar player, songwriter, so I stopped singing for many, many years up until this project happened.
I started when I was about 8. I've been playing for about 20 years now. Started off oddly enough, I started off on guitar. Besides, when I figured out that I wanted to play drums when I was a little bit younger, but couldn't afford a drum set, and parents didn't want the loudness of the drums, all in the house. So they got me a guitar. But when I first started playing drums in my school bands and stuff like that, that's when I really knew I was like, nah, I just want to play music. And after I started playing in 6th grade, full time in the band, and 8th grade, I really joined band, and then I bought my own kit, and the rest has kind of written itself. It's been fun, and I still love it.
You, Jack?
I've been playing music since started when I was about 12 years old, and I've been playing longer than these two have been alive.
Together or
No.
It's not to say, no, you're not that old. Now you're just being an ass.
Alex?
I've been playing since I was about 13. I started picking up bass about 3 years ago. I found a bass at a pawn shop for about $80, and it was left-handed for me, so I said, fuck it, why not? Let's buy it. And I started learning some Red Hot Chili Peppers, some Iron Maiden shit, and took off from there.
My musical career is more defined by what I like to call blunt force determination. I wasn't really blessed with talent. I had to work really, really hard to do what I wanted to do, and I knew I wanted to be a musician and play and write songs, so I worked really hard at it. In fact, I still do. It doesn't just come naturally. But as far as mentors, I do have a couple. One of my best friends from Florida is a man named Stead Howland, who is a drummer who was in Wasp for many years. He's played with Lita Ford, Blackfoot, quite a few other people. He's currently the drummer for Metal Church, and he's one of those guys that when I have a question about the music business or something about what I should do or something that sounds good, I defer to Stet and, hey, what would you do? Another buddy of mine is Adam Zadel from Soil, who I've been friends with for quite a few years as well, and he's been in the industry for 20 plus years and has been through it and back again. He's a great source of information. Yeah, so I'm fortunate to have a few people on a national level who I can talk to and get information from or ask questions to. But as far as anybody in my life, I wasn't really blessed with parents or grandparents or any family members who gave me encouragement. So it was very much a matter of this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do, and I fought very, very hard to get there.
You know, we were talking a little bit earlier, Alex, and we were talking about the same question. I liked your answer, kind of contrasts what John had to say. Who are your influences?
So mostly like musically, I don't really have a lot of mentors. I mean, I do have Jack and John. You know, they've been in the ringer for quite a while, and you know, they've had their experiences in the music industries. You know, so they have a lot of advice to give. But personally, I'd mostly say my mom, my dad as well, but my mom mostly. I've always just kind of called her up, you know, for advice on anything. Either whether it be how I'm feeling, or if there's a certain opportunity, or maybe what I should do, like with my money. You know, I'll always just give my mom a call and be like, hey, you know, Mom, you know, this is what's going on, or this is what I'm thinking I should do. You know, what would you say? And, you know, she always tells me, you know, do what you feel is right, but also keep in mind that this could happen or this could happen. So I've always kind of deferred my advice to my mom.
My godfather's been, you know, a touring sound engineer for, you know, he's done Kiss, he's done Aerosmith, he's done Crew, he's done a lot of the big bands. Same thing with my uncle. Was tour manager for a lot of these bands out there. Currently, he's working with Slipknot. And you know, with all that, you know, it's not that no one really needs to be handed stuff on a silver platter. And you know, I never would want that, especially you know having these connections that I do in the music industry. It's more for me. I pushed out there to hear what they, you know, have to tell me about what I've got going on. You know, I never try to push my stuff out to my family and be like, you know, hey, get me on the next gig, because you know that's not how, you know, good musicians and people that deserve it. That's not how you get gigs.
It's not classy.
Yeah, it's you work hard for what you want to do, and if you're doing it right and you're doing it well, you know, it will pick up. But I do turn, you know, especially, you know, along the lines with Alex, I turn to my mother for things, you know, if we got new mixes, I'll play them for her and ask her, you know, what do you think? She'll tell me flat out, honest, and same thing with my dad, except, you know, he'll chat a bit, you know, with all the, oh, you need this frequency and you need to add this effect, and he just goes on and on. But, you know, he does it well. He looks out for me, and, you know, I go to a lot of my family on that side just for their opinions to know what we're doing or what I'm doing is right. You know, John's one of them too. I mean, shit, I go to him with half the stuff that I'm doing on my own, and I look at him like, you know, does this sound good? Is this right? You know, and most of the time I'm, you know, doing fine, but you know, no, you're always your worst critic, I guess.
Yeah, I think also too for myself and you and the band in general, like my wife is a pretty good sounding board.
Yeah, Katrina's always nice. Whenever we get something new that's been worked up, or we're starting to cook something, you know, she'll come in. If she's hearing it, she'll straight up go, that is fucking awesome. Do it. You
or
do it.
Or
what is that? What is that? No, don't do that. And it's funny because we haven't really heard the icky part yet, or not too much, but you know, there's been a couple times like. No.
Band-wise, music-wise, I grew up in something sort of like John had. By the time I was 10 or 11, there was no real family life. There was alcohol problems and things. And up until that point, I was really good at sports, so good that coaches would come before seasons to my house to attempt to make sure my parents put me on their teams. And that looked like the direction. But that fell apart to where they couldn't even... you know, give me any attention to get me the doctor's stuff or whatever to play sports.
Did they bring new cars?
Huh?
Did they bring new cars?
No.
No.
No, they didn't do anything. So when I got 12, at 12 years old, I realized something. If I could get them to buy me a guitar, I don't need anything else from them. And I got my dad to buy me an electric guitar. And I knew I could take that on my own, but I had no teachers, nothing like that, all self-taught. Today, what I do is it's the people that are in my life, if you wanted to call them mentors. Like I would go to him with an original and say, what do you think and what would you do with this? I have a project coming up to record music for my seminar company, and I turn to John because I love his ear, the way he hears the music, produces it. I got into the seminar work about 20, 18 years ago. So music was sort of just something I was still doing, but doing more of that. And I've turned to him for equipment and different things, sound. And so it's people, like just people that are in my life, other musicians that I'm around.
Yes.
Well, my influences, I could be here all day long talking to you about my influences because I'm influenced by so much. I love music. I love rock and roll. I love heavy metal. I love southern rock. And when you go influences, well, 40 years ago, I guess if you boil everything I really love down, it all comes back to Black Sabbath because that's my biggest, foremost influence. But Metallica from the next generation, because Metallica was a game changer. When I heard Master Puppets in 1986, it changed my perception of life and everything I thought music could be. It took me out of cock rock land. I love the 90s stuff. I love what Rage Against the Machine was doing. Tom Morello was just such an amazing player. Adam Jones from Tool, because I was coming into my own as a formative guitar player and songwriter during the early 90s, music has shifted so much where I was really, really soaking up all these new players. And in the 2000s, there were a lot of great players that a lot of people really wasn't paying attention to. I like Disturbed, I like Godsmack, I like all those bands. And even recently, I still listen to so much new stuff. My last 15 to 20 years, I'd have to say Black Label Society. I mean, obviously, if you know me and you've ever seen me play guitar, Zakk Wylde is probably my biggest influence on guitar. Slash is my next. I mean, those two, that's why I play Les Paul, is because of Zakk Wylde and Slash. I love Texas Hippie Coalition. I love Southern Rock. I love all these new country guys putting out Southern fried kind of rock country stuff. I'm a Florida boy. I'm from the swamps, so I love anything that's greasy and got that vibe to it. But I'm always looking for the next thing out there. I'm like, yeah, man, what's going to influence me today? What's going to make me want to write a song? What's going to spark something in me? Hey, I could do something similar to that. But I might start off from the standpoint of writing a song like, I want to do something similar to that. But once I get my grips onto it, once I start playing with it and writing a song, it's going to turn into my own thing inevitably because of all those influences. But yeah, so my influences are just too many to even talk about.
So, I mean, like I said earlier, back in high school, I religiously, became a devotee of Metallica. Kirk Hammett became the number one guitar player that I wanted to be like. And also, during that same time, there was a lot of things happening, with my personal life and with my family. And all I really had to turn to was music, and at the time, it was only Metallica. So Metallica really got me through basically my formative teenage years and even into my adulthood. I'll still, I don't listen to them as much as I used to, but there'll still be times a Metallica song come on the radio and it'll just take me back to those days, and it just puts me into another spot, and it just takes me to another world.
Which, to interject really quickly, is really, really cool and interesting to me because it was the same thing for me 25 years ago, and here you are, guys 20 years younger than me, having gone through the same thing. It's like Metallica, just James Hetfield, and the words and the song, just they're soundtracks to our lives. Whether you're 46 or you're 28, it's just, they're one of those bands that just does.
Exactly. Well, and then there were days too where my buddy and I, we'd be feeling like shit, depressed, or whatever the hell was going on with us, but we'd pop in Metallica, and one of the number one songs that we turned to was "To Live Is to Die." We would just turn that up as loud as possible and just listen to it, and it didn't need any words, just the whole vibe and the emotion of the song. It would just get us through whatever we were fucking feeling.
Influenced by, like John, there's so many artists and musicians. I think when you look at maybe pinnacles, like things that popped up through history, it started with Alice Cooper and Kiss. And then I traded a Kiss Alive 2 for Aerosmith, Get Your Wings, and Zeppelin 4. Then I found out Kiss sort of sucked. And these bands were really hot, and those sort of drove me for a while.
Kiss wrote great songs.
Not at that point, they weren't.
They're still selling out stadiums.
Hey, I got to see them live, and they're fine, but it just took me to a different realm when I'm listening to Zeppelin compared to the early Kiss albums. And Aerosmith, and then UFO was huge with Michael Schenker. That was big for me. Then in the 80s, things took a wild turn for the worse with MTV and the new wave shit for me. I didn't like any of it. I'm just waiting for Ozzy with his big hairdos and all that to come on once in a while. And then Guns N' Roses showed up, and I was like, fuck yeah.
That changed the world.
Yeah, here they are. There's the Marshall. There's the Les Paul. There's the fucking Crybaby. Now we're in business again.
Appetite changed the
Yes. And then from there, it went into the grunge, which I totally fucking dug. And STP, really, they were the top for me, but it wasn't because of the band so much. It was because of Scott. It was the way he could write a melody. The way that guy could sing just blew me away. And then it sort of moved into Godsmack and Disturbed and Nine Inch Nails, things like that. And those are probably the high points of my life.
Yeah, I'd probably have to say what originally got me started was Crew. Just because of, being so interjected with the band and stuff due to family. And, it was a lot of 80s stuff that really got me going. Poison, Cinderella, Slaughter, Def Leppard, like all your cock rock.
You're so
stuff.
cute because you weren't even alive when.
I know. I was born in the wrong freaking generation, man. Like, God,
you and me both, man.
Those times, God.
You and me should have been born in like 75 or something.
Right?
I managed to play shows with a lot of those guys, and he wasn't even alive when they were 80s.
Well, like that was a lot of the stuff that I was listening to, because that's all that my family was working with back then. And when I turned about 13, my buddy Sean, he ended up turning me on to metal, and the first metal band I ever listened to was Trivium. There was Pull Harder on the Strings of Your Trepidation, I think, right? Or no, Pull Harder on the Strings. That's what I remember it.
But I'd say because the one was a gunshot to the head of Trepidation.
Yeah, it was Gunshot. But no, Pull Harder on the Strings, that song just, I don't know what it did, but it changed my mind. And then I started just listening to a whole bunch, like Suicide Silence, August Burns Red.
Suicide Silence. That's a great band.
I got to meet Mitch Luker before he passed away, thank God. I still have his signature on my dollar bill pinned up on my fucking wall. Like, I'm never losing that. And, then it started going into, the 3 Days Grace, the hard rock, and... now I've been really listening to Slash a lot of Alter Bridge, a lot of the new Korn stuff. Ray Luzier is like a major drumming influence. That dude on stage he's just a beast, and he's tight. He's in the pocket all the time, and I want to be as tight as these acts that I've been listening to for so long that have gotten where they've gotten. Like, they push me to try to be better than I can be.
Which is already pretty damn good.
Like I said, I'm trying to play.
Yeah, kind of like me. I try every time.
Well, shit, there's some things that you'll bring in every now and then. It's like, I'll be watching and I'm like, fuck, man, I play guitar. I couldn't think of that, man. I'm like, fuck, man, that's impressive as shit.
Yeah, what's really cool about Dylan, because he's an accomplished guitar player, singer-songwriter as well, I'm very, very, I guess you could say, guarded. When I'm writing a song, I kind of think I know what it should be or what I want it to be. But Dylan will hear something that should be a little bit different, say in a bridge or a pre-chorus or something. And he's one of the few guys ever in my life who will come from behind his drums and grab my guitar off of me, which most people I would knock the fuck out of. But try like this. And you know what? And I have to kind of look at him, and I just scratch my head, and all the other guys look at me like, rah, I think that was right. But, I listen to it, I'm like, you know what, dude? You're fucking right. Yeah, let's do it like that. Let's try that. So, yeah, he brings in this really great different side to things what I don't necessarily hear. And that might be the difference between, having a 20-year difference between us, is he hears things a little bit differently than me. But what I really, really love about Alex and Dylan both is that being that they are 20 years younger than me, I very rarely bring up a band or a song as far as influence that they don't know, whether it's from 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. These guys are kind of a musical encyclopedia. And Jack covers a lot of my old school influences. Like, Jack was like, hell yeah, I remember that song. Let's try something in that vein. So really, there's very few things I can throw at my band in general. I say my band because those are my boys. And that they don't pick up on and don't feed off of. There's really no boundaries with what we do and what influences us. If it's good, 9 times out of 10, we like it. and we'll find some way to incorporate a piece of that into what we're doing. There's no real parameters on what we do. It's hey man, if it's cool, let's do it.
Well, it's a real liberating feeling too, as a musician, that we could just throw shit at the wall, see what sticks, and all of us are going to be like, yeah, dude, that's fucking cool.
Well,
Oh gosh,
I'll tell you
there's
what.
a few of them out here, man.
Yeah, you know,
there's a lot of real raw talent that's actually out here. Of course, no matter what town you go to, you're always going to have your garage bands that are just getting together. They're or some of the punk bands, they like that garage tone. Personally, I don't, but I mean, Deirdre is one that's really good out here. Colors of Chaos, they're always an amazing show. Empires of Desire are fucking crazy.
They're phenomenal.
And those are the ones that are mostly singing on the metal side. I mean, you've got Sectus, Pelvic Meatloaf. You've got Howitzer from back in the day.
Two in the chest.
Two in the chest. They were fucking.
While she waits.
Well, of course, While She Waits. Those guys are fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'd never seen While She Waits until the show we played with them, and I was highly impressed with those guys. They were really good.
Oh yeah, no. When I was playing with those guys, they when I joined those guys, they gave me a lot more of a insight into the DC level of the music industry, and just a little bit higher than your locals, but not exactly a national. Getting into that limbo to get to where you need to be. It was they were really good with insight and showing me different things about how to work it.
Which is actually where a lot of the bands you just mentioned were all kind of in that limbotic
Almost
stage
like a purgatory
where
kind of.
we're all sort of good enough to be on that next national level, but we all haven't had the push to get there. All of those bands. I mean, While She Waits, they're ready for prime time.
Yeah.
Since I started Black Wolf Mountain and we've been out there playing, I've been really, really lucky and blessed, if you will, to have become friends with so many amazing players in this town. Kenny Howie and Tulin Howley from amazing Empire of Desire. Couple of my best friends, Kenny especially, when he and I go out together, everybody's like the redneck guitar twins. Sectus, Christian Sectus is absolutely amazing. He blows me away every time he plays. Deirdre, I love Deirdre, what she does. She is full package, ready to go, full prime time. Two in the Chest, another one of my favorite bands. I love their whole stage thing. I love the songs. I love everything about them. Color of Chaos, I mean, those guys are all out of national bands. They're another phenomenal band. And I've been really, really lucky to be able to call a lot of these guys and girls my friends over the last couple of years, and I feel really, really blessed. I hate using that term, but what it is, to where they've embraced me in this local music scene as one of their own and hold me up as one of their peers. It's very, very rewarding to me when I see these guys and I'm like, hey man, yeah, you're one of us. Because when I think about going home to Florida and maybe starting another band or another interpretation of Black Wolf Mountain, the Florida music scene was absolutely amazing 20 years ago for original bands. In the last 20 years, it's all cover bands now. So there's not nearly the infrastructure or the peer group that I have here in Arizona that I would have in Florida. So that's probably one of the main and biggest reasons that I continue to stay in Arizona, is because I've met and become friends with so many amazing musicians and so many great original bands in this area. What I have noticed since we've been out here playing is that the Arizona music scene has been incredibly supportive. Obviously, there's always competition. Everybody's out to take care of their own band, whatever. However, since we've been playing shows, when I play shows, there's people from other bands always coming to our shows. My wife and myself, we're huge supporters of local scenes. We always go out check out other bands. We love music. We love going out checking out the other original bands.
I will say, the music scene nowadays, especially with the different the bar venues and we used to have some amazing venues that were out here. And the main thing that's changed in the scene out here is it's not like it was back in, the 80s and the 90s where your bars were full of people no matter what, and the bars were hiring a band to entertain their crowd. Nowadays, it's completely reversed, where the bars are hiring these bands to pull in a crowd, because a lot of these places that have their stages and stuff like that, they're just a venue. They're no longer just, the sports bar or the bar that has the live music, or
And the bars aren't promoting.
well, the bars aren't promoting how well. Then again, promoting back in the day, a lot of these bars were already really well known.
Right.
So they had their established, 200 people that would always show up throughout the week.
Right.
Nowadays, because there's the internet and there's so many different places you can go and check out, you see a sponsorship for some place. We're in Cave Creek, we see a sponsorship for some place out in fucking Gilbert. And it's like, oh yeah, that seems like fun. So we'll travel all the way out to Gilbert instead of going over, to Roadhouse or Harold or something like that. Most of those places, it was strictly just the people around them, because they didn't see all these different things going on. We didn't have the online community. So it was really up to flyers if you were going to push anything out there. And you usually went to around the places that you were playing. So, it's definitely changed a lot in that aspect. But, a lot of the band members, they do come out nowadays to these shows to support the scene that we still have going. And that's, a lot of the reason why we still have this scene is because these musicians that are playing in these other bands, not only are they coming out, but they're also bringing some of their friends to come and check it out. So, ours is actually kind of weird. There are some times where there's a line, there's like a verse or something that we had written that we didn't use for a song, and all of a sudden it's like,
Yeah, pops back up.
yeah, John will sit there and he'll look at it and he'll be like fucking with the melody, and then sometimes he'll come up with a song that way. Other times it's usually, for example, 5 Shots Down off the first album that we did, that started off as literally John hitting 3 notes as just a fucking fuck up type of thing. It was just and I was like, no,
Right.
play that again. And then we wrote this entire song out of a fuck up. Then there's other times where we'll actually sit down and he's like, I got this fucking guitar riff, and then we'll get the music part done.
5 Shots Down was on the first album, probably one of the first truly collaborative efforts between me and Dylan, because a lot of the first album was songs that I had already written on guitar and vocals and whatever, or had done before or wanted to redo or whatever. So on the first album, one of the biggest reasons that we were able to do it so quickly is because a lot of songs are already demoed and whatnot.
It was just a restructure that needed to happen.
Yeah, because I tend to... Now, this is the thing, and this has evolved over the last 2 years since we've been a band. And the initial part, I was very, very, very protective of the songwriting. I was a songwriter. That's what I've been doing. That's what I'm good at. I'm not a phenomenal guitar player. Damn sure not a phenomenal singer. But I am a pretty decent singer, if I do say so. So a lot of the first album was already kind of written and formatted on guitar. And I write vocals a lot of times very much with the guitar parts, especially choruses. A lot of times I'll write chorus and guitar part, and I'll write backwards to write a song to fit that chorus and guitar part, because as far as I'm concerned, without a great chorus, you do not have a song.
No.
Now, that has changed over the last 2 years as I've gotten more comfortable with Jack and Alex as players, and especially Dylan, because I'll bring in a song and I've written it musically and vocally exactly how I think it should be. And then Dylan will come in well, let's do this different and let's do that different. And I'll listen to it, and sometimes I agree. Actually, most of the time I agree. Every once in a while I disagree, and we go back to how I had it. But yeah, so I've gotten very, very open to Dylan because I've been working with him for, two and a half years now.
Yeah.
Alex and Jack have been with us a little bit shorter of a time period. So it took me a little while to get comfortable letting them interject their ideas and their song ideas into the songwriting process. But now that it has happened, I couldn't be more happy with how it's turned out. because these guys come up with a lot of great ideas. Some work for Black Wolf Mountain, some are for another project. I'll listen to what they have, especially Jack when he brings in guitar part. If it strikes me as something I can write a vocal melody to or something that grabs me, yeah, I'll tell these guys, hey, keep playing that. Let me work on vocals. In fact, our latest single / video that's about to come out, Empty Frames, was exactly that.
Yeah.
Jack came in with this cool
It
AG-88
was
guitar.
done like tune-up or something like that.
I wasn't present. I actually haven't presented anything really. I just turn on the guitar
He just
and I
plays.
just
He
start
just fucks
playing some
around.
shit,
Yeah, he just
and then I'll
jams.
hear something out here. I'll hear, wait, keep playing that.
Do that again.
What was
And I
that?
go,
What was that?
Play that chord structure again.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting here like listening, you know, kind of doing my thing, waiting for the band, waiting for Dylan. Obviously, he's my little Lars. So
Straight
he
up.
comes in, he has to eat, he has to use the bathroom, sometimes has to shower. So I know when Dylan gets here, it's going to be about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours before we're actually ready to play. So for me to get out of my chair and get ready to play, it takes a while. And these guys have come in, they're tuned up, they're ready to go. We're waiting on little Lars. And then once I know little Lars is ready to go, then I'll actually get up. But in the meantime, either Alex or Jack have like started riffing out and jamming on something, and I'll hear something that one of them are doing. I'm like, yes, keep doing that, because it sparked a vocal melody out of me. And that's really where Empty Frames came from. Jack was playing this clean arpeggiated part, and I could hear a melody. So I picked up my guitar, which I actually didn't even play because there was no need for me to, and we just started working that into a song. And it turned into what I think is going to be one of the best songs I've ever been involved with in my 25 plus year career as being a musician. And not to take away anything from Alex brought in a song too. He brought in the main riffs and a couple of different parts for another song.
Oh yeah, this next batch of songs that we're working, this next album that's coming out,
It's all very much been a team effort.
it's definitely, it's still Black Wolf Mountain, but this album's been a lot more of a full collab. I mean, Alex, I think he's brought in a couple riffs to 2 different songs. Same thing with Jack. Everyone's been really productive with this album as far as the writing process.
Or with Jack's song, what I call it Jack's song, with Empty Frames, he brought in the main, probably 80% of the music, and then me and Dylan kind of messed around and came up with a middle section, and I wrote the lyrics and the melody, and boom, we have what I like to think is going to be one of the greatest things I've ever been involved in.
Interject. What I thought was going to make that song, that video, was the subject matter that I'm not sure how it happened, but playing this little clean pattern that I just play, and I've been playing it for 20 years, screwing around, and never could find any words or melody to it. And then John started singing, and it was about losing someone. And that's where, when I watched the video, that's the impact of the song. It's going to pretty much touch everybody. Anybody who's lost anybody, that song's going to mean something to them. It's got that power.
We were the best of friends. Nothing could stop us. All those days and all those nights. I can't tell you, no, I can't say. I never thought life would take you away.
Yeah, it was interesting how it came about. I just kind of, once I heard the guitar parts, like something struck in me, and I started writing words and a melody, even though it took me a little while to finalize the words. It's basically about people in my life who I lost prematurely, who I might have been able to be stronger for or could have helped, but I had to remove myself from their situation in order to save myself. Otherwise, I was going to go down the same path with them. And it's really an amalgamation of 4 different stories and 4 different people from my past, from 10 to 25 years ago. So there's not really one person per se. It's 4 or so. But it's about losing people and feeling like, God, man, if I was a little stronger, Could I have helped you? Could I have saved you? Would you still be here? And when you're looking at a house or something and you take a frame off the wall that's been there for many, many years, you can kind of see an outline on the wall of where that frame was, but that frame's empty. It's no longer there. It's just a frame with nothing in it.
It was last Thursday night when I got the call. They told me you were gone and I hit the wall. I went down on my knees, I screamed out of the sky. How could you be gone? Please God tell me why. I didn't want to believe you were gone. Something told me, yes I knew all along.
So that's really where the spark came from. And honestly, the first at least 10 times I would sing that song, it would literally bring me to tears. And I'm not an overly emotional individual, but I was tapping into something and tapping into an emotion in me, and the guilt that I felt from not having been a strong enough individual to help those folks, it was really, really messing with me. But I really felt like the subject matter was going to be something that people might be able to relate to and respond to, and maybe feel a little bit better about themselves.
And this song was so powerful. A year ago, we all went to NAMM together as a group, and my mom passed away the second day we were there. And my sister, who's always been around my mom, she took it so hard that like a year later, it's still not really being able to pull herself out of it. And I sent her the song, not the video. We hadn't shot the video yet. And that was the first thing. She emailed me back almost immediately and said, thank you for sending me that song. I mean, I knew it was going to have power just to send it to her. And also when my fiance watched it, and my son, and my fiance, I trust her opinion on the music and all that. She loves music. And my son as well. And they watched that video, and she had tears in her eyes. And my son was just like, this is great. This might be the greatest song you've been involved in. And that's how I feel about it. It's got that kind of power to it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely got it's a strong connection, with the song. It's something that, we all go through. And, with how they feel, if it's something that we can do, that we can help by expressing, how we feel through music, and that can help someone else, in their time they actually need it. That's what music's about. It's about connecting and feeling, and maybe it's going out and partying or something like that, or maybe it's just something that makes you just feel a little bit more comfortable. And
Get you through your day or your week. It could be one of those songs where somebody looks back on it like, wow, man, I listened to that song, 15 years ago, and that helped me through a really rough spot thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's so many songs in my life, and there's countless artists that have been the soundtrack to my lives, where when I listen to that song, it takes me back to a particular spot and time, and like a time capsule. I could smell the smells. And a lot of those songs, I had a very, very rough childhood, especially in my teen years. They got me through life and kept me from fucking putting a bullet in my head. So if I can give that to somebody, and I've done that previously with other songs and other bands, that's for me like the most rewarding thing as a songwriter, when you can write something that touches people. And truth be told, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, this was one of the most collaborative efforts I've ever been involved with as a songwriter.
Yeah, I think this one's the most produced song that we have ever done as band.
We've really spent a lot of time with the production, getting this right. But as far as the band goes, this has been one of the most collaborative things I've been involved in, where I don't even play a lick of guitar on this song, which has never happened for myself in 25 years.
That was when we walked in the building.
Yeah, we didn't
pretty much.
We didn't really have a set idea when we went in there, and we kind of like.
I mean, we all had different
We had some
views.
ideas.
Just black and white. I think that was decided.
We
that was
all
the thing.
decided black and white.
Yeah.
When we walked into the building, we walked through the entire building to check out everything. And we were like, all right, well, this area looks nice. Well, what if we did something like this? And there's these 2 giant fucking speakers, like huge ass speaker cabs that are actually sitting behind me in my drum set, and those were just kind of off to the side. And while we were kind of setting up, they were like, well, what do you think about that? You want one? I was like, no, fucking throw both those bastards back there. I want to look dope as shit.
Well, that was another really cool thing about Paul and Nathan Birch is that they, whether or not we had a really set idea, they were more than willing to work with us. And even
they came up to us too, and they were like, "No, I can see that. I see what you want." And they'd ask us questions too.
Yeah, like whatever ideas we were spitballing, they were working with it. Like, well, okay, I like that idea, but what if we, move this right here? What if we had you guys right here and we pan this shot, or what if we did this kind of shit? So they were very cooperative and collaborative with us when coming up with the entire concept for the video.
Like honestly, if I had a Hollywood budget, I could have had a whole cinematic idea for making a movie out of this song, because really, and not to sound cocky or arrogant, but I really feel like the subject matter of the song and the song itself could lend itself to a short movie, kind of like in the manner of November Rain or Strange from Guns N' Roses.
Right.
But considering we are not a band with that kind of budget, I just kind of walked in and I gave the guys my basic ideas. We walked in and looked at the room, and the room was already kind of set up where we can do some cool things. And I have to give a lot of credit to Paul Birch.
Yeah.
No, that dude he's an amazing
Paul and
videographer and editor.
Paul and Nathan both. They looked at the room and they're like, wow, okay, this is the basic concept, so what can we do with this? Let's make this cool. Let's work with what we have. And that's really, sometimes the best art comes from not having too many options, from having limited options, but making those options work. Originally when we recorded the audio for Empty Frames, we really went in the studio, didn't know exactly what we were going to do. It was just going to be me singing and hope for the best. And then I had, in the last minute, had this idea of like, how would it be if we brought in a female voice to kind of offset my kind of gruff vocals and kind of add the little the nice icing fluff flavor to it. And we originally brought in another girl who was amazing. And we really, really liked the outcome of that. But once we started getting into the video part of that, we had this friend who actually me and Dylan and Alex collaborated with last summer. We were going to start another band. Things didn't really work out, whatever. She's doing her own thing. But she's pretty amazing in her own right. She's become a great friend. Miss Robbie Days. She was previously in a band called Adero, and the reason she came onto my radar is her band Adero played a show with us with Texas Hippie Coalition back in April or May of last year.
April.
And we became friends. So once I had an idea to have the female vocal in there and then bring the female part into the video, I re-recorded Robbie onto the Empty Frames audio, and it worked out really, really well, and we brought her in for the video and intercut her into it, and it worked out really, really nicely, because it's like, with all the feeling bad about myself, feeling this and this and that throughout the song, it's almost like the angel interjecting, telling me it's okay. And her addition, I really feel, to the audio and video part of the song really, really make the song stand out.
Absolutely,
yeah. No, she definitely came in and compliments the entire thing. I'm really happy that we went with Robbie and we got her, into everything that we've done with this video. She really does compliment it in a really good way.
Yeah, she does.
Well, also, her presence in the video also adds to the whole concept of it too, and to the whole subject matter of what the song is about. Having her ghosted and having her in those little certain spots, it really adds to the overall vision of what we want for the video and the song.
For me, BLK show with
Practices.
Firehouse was the best show I I played with these guys
Yeah, that
just because the
Firehouse
crowd
show?
was amazing.
Yeah, that was a fantastic.
They were
show
right
for
up
us.
to the stage. There had to have been about 800, 900 people there, and when that audience is feeding, it's just like swirls. The
Oh,
energy
yeah,
just
that was an amazing
Yeah,
audience too.
yeah.
There might be a little too many to.
Yeah, which one? What there was?
I think the first really good one was at Chopper John's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There was a certain spot in time. Dylan was going through some stuff.
No, just screw it. I'll talk to
You
him.
tell him.
I was a little shit. I
He
liked
caught a
party hard
DUI.
back in the day. I ended up getting
Back in the day.
You mean last year?
Last year.
Shut the fuck up and let me tell the story, okay? So no, I ended up screwing up and I got in trouble, and I was drinking and driving, which I don't do it. It's bad.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Or don't get caught. Don't get caught doing it if you do.
Very bad.
Won't add on to that, but so I ended up while I was going through all my shit, they ended up I was put onto that lovely Phoenix ankle bracelet everyone's seen on Facebook, and I had this portable little breathalyzer, and it went off randomly like 6 times a day. Like I knew when the first and the last one would hit, but anywhere in between, no idea. And I was sitting there, and we showed up at the show, and we set up, and we started playing. And I forgot. I was like, shit. My freaking thing's probably going to go off in the middle of playing. Next thing you know, I think we finished the second song. And I look down, and the thing's just flash. And I'm like, fuck, I got to blow into this fucking breathalyzer.
For a minute.
And so we finished the song, and John's talking. He was like, yeah, so we just released it. And he's talking about drinking gasoline. We just released this video. And I huddled down behind Jack's amp, and I start the fucking thing, and I'm just... poke my head out. I'm like, keep talking, don't fucking play it, keep talking. And I'm sitting there, and Alex turns around, and he's like, what the fuck is going? And that's
And
when
all
he
I
sees
see
me
is
just
Dylan
my fucking-
huddled down behind the amp, blowing into his
just
little
blowing
breathalyzer,
this little fucking-
doing this, telling us to just keep on killing.
Go, just keep going, just keep going.
The other one that was amazing was a Texas hippie show.
You talking
Where
about
this-
bread?
His random friend of his is
my
all
God.
drunk on the side of the stage, and we don't notice it, but we start the show with her still standing there.
She
She became part of the show.
2 fucking songs, and she's like walking around the front of the fucking drum
Oh, yeah,
set,
in front of the drums,
in front of the
fucking around
scrim.
drunk.
I'm sitting there, I'm looking for fucking security, and I'm like, can someone please get this chick off the stage? I mean, don't get me wrong, she's my friend, I like her. But baby, I'm fucking playing a show here.
Like,
that was also while I was on the live feed on Instagram for Los Cabos Drumsticks.
Dylan had gotten a sponsorship or an endorsement through Los Cabos Drumsticks, and they allowed him to take over their Instagram page for
So
like a
I'm on
live
this
feed.
live fucking video, and she sets her drink to where the straw is perfectly in frame, to where all the drums and shit is fucking blurry. So the only focused part
Is the
is
straw.
about an inch of a straw that she had set in front of the camera. It was that.
And
that-
I think it was either halfway through the second or the third song, she had stepped over.
on
she had stepped
Jack's
over
fucking
Jack's
shit.
rig onto his cord and unplugged his
Fuck me.
entire
that was-
rig.
Oh yeah.
And John, I don't think he noticed because he's singing, he's in the front. On the third song, he went over by Alex. Now she wanders over to that side. And I saw him turn around, and that was the first where you could see him like, what the fuck is she doing on the stage? And
She's got her phone out with the flash on. She's in our faces
She's
trying
like,
to get
yes,
video.
One of the next shows was with Blackfoot.
No, Blackfoot
Okay.
was first.
Blackfoot, the current version of Blackfoot is comprised of a bunch of my friends from Fort Myers, Florida. So it was really, really cool for me being able to play that show and hook up with some of my boys because it was like a family reunion. And also beyond that, they weren't always like the best selling shows, but I really, really love the fact that I've gotten to play with some of my favorite bands, whether it be Soil, who's been one of my favorite bands for 20 years, or Fozzy, or Texas Hippie Coalition. These are bands that I would go to those shows even if I wasn't playing. But to be able to go and open shows and play shows with these guys for bands that I have loved for many, many years has been really, really rewarding to me. I wish they were like, full sold out, blah, 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 giant shows, but rock and roll is what it is. And I play for the love of playing, and I love other bands. And so for me, getting to play shows with some of my favorite bands has really been the most rewarding experience for myself.
Yeah, same way for 5 people as it would be for 500.
To interject again, another one of the memorable things for me was the Tommy Phelps Memorial Show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone coming out, just for him and just showing their support and just showing their love for him and love for the scene. One of my favorite shows, personally. We actually had Robbie Days come up on stage with us, and we had jammed out, which happened to be one of Tommy's favorite songs, "A Whole Lot of Rosie" by AC/DC.
And we did Empty Frames with her.
And we,
our
first and only live performance of Empty Frames with Robbie Days singing on the backups as well. That show was just great.
Yeah, that was a great show.
That was just a great energy show in itself. And the moment we started playing "Whole Lot of Rosie," and when Robbie took the vocals and she started singing, she pretty much stole this.
She took our stage.
She stole the show from us.
Yeah.
But like
And it was no longer Black Wolf Mountain. It was Robbie Days featuring Black Wolf Mountain.
but it was like in that moment, I looked to John and he looked back at me, and we both had that same thought, and we just had this big ass grin, and we were just jamming.
Because when you boil it down to it, I'm really a guitar player at heart, and I just love being able to go up and play and jam and have a badass singer singing, and having her up there doing that, like, yeah, kid, steal it, and she really stole it. Now, to add on to the Tommy Phelps thing, Tommy was actually my first friend in Arizona when I moved here. Tommy and I were talking about doing something and whatever, and his vocal style really wasn't right for what I do as far as songwriting, but he was always on me about wanting to write songs, and we never got around to doing it. But he was still my first friend here. He had known me a couple years prior because of my last band. So when we met, he's like, I was like, okay, well, that's cool. We've been talking for a while. So when Tommy passed and we were able to do the Tommy tribute show, that was really, really important to me. Because, actually, on a side note there, when Dylan came out for the first time, and I was jamming with Dylan to see if me and him had any chemistry, I brought Tommy out as a singer.
Oh, when I forgot all my fucking racks and shit.
Yeah, just so we had a singer to get us through some songs to jam and have some fun on. So yeah, and Tommy was just a great guy, and being able to play his tribute show was another one of those amazing shows for me. Of the shows we played thus far, and I'm hoping that we can continue to keep playing shows that actually mean something versus just numbers.
Looks like lights are out, man.
Yeah, lights are out.
Lights out.
Hey, thank you guys once again.
Thank
Thank you very much, Shane.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you for
And
your time.
if you guys go ahead and check out the new video, it's going to be coming out real soon. We've also got a show at the Marquee Theater coming up May 30th. We're going to be opening up for Hell's a Poppin' Circus Sideshow. It's going to be an awesome show. You guys want to come and check it out, hop on our website, www.blackwolfmountain13.com. Hop onto our live dates menu.
How much are the tickets?
You can get those tickets for $10 a
Damn.
pop. Which, if you check out Marquee, they're running for about $35.
Yep.
35 to
That's
60.
$10. That's less than 2 beers in a bar.
Literally.
exactly.
That's less than one mixed drink at the fucking Marquee. So,
Yes.
And also continue to check out our stuff on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Music, YouTube.
We are on Instagram.
We're on
Facebook.
every single social media outlet that you
check
can
out our
think of.
Twitter. We got our tweeter over here.
Yeah, our Twitter handle at BlackWolfMountain13.
Thanks, Tweeter.
But other than that, we'd like to thank you guys for supporting us and getting us where we need to be and climbing. Thank you, Shane, for coming out and doing this shit for us and
Enjoy
for
the
taking
pack.
pictures and
Yeah.
enjoy the pack, man. If you want t-shirts, hop online too. They'll be up there. There you go.